Well, howdy there, partner. This is Funny McGee from Fluffing Up Club, back once again to rant and rave for you. And I wanted to continue with the story I was telling before. All right, last time, if you remember correctly, I was talking about the first time I started talking and how I started. I was standing on my mama's porch and we started talking. I just started talking, ranting and raving about corn, right? Really passionately and articulate, and everyone started admiring me. And then my neighbor Joe came up to me and he invited me to come over and talk to him to inspire his farmers to start treating the corn better and appreciating the corn. If you haven't heard the story, then go back to part 1 and listen to the story, okay? So you have a background, because it's a really good story, really important if you're going to understand the roots of where I come from and where Fluffing Up Club come from and how it got started. Now, so I went over to Joe's and I gave this speech again. I was much more articulate, much more passionate about corn, and everyone's watching, right before dinner. And so I got invited by this other guy, Bill. All right. Now, Bill invited me over to his house. Now, he had a much bigger farm than Joe. Okay, Bill had a giant farm, at least from what I was used to, because the farm my parents had, right, it wasn't that big at all. It was just kind of like a family farm, and we didn't really sell much. We more had, corn for the family and maybe our, extended family. But it wasn't really a lot of corn, and it wasn't really a lot of vegetables and meat and stuff. We had to buy some things from neighbors all the time just to survive and stuff. We couldn't really survive on our own. Now, Joe, he could survive his entire family, and he sold some of his stuff, right? And now Bill had a cow farm, right, and a corn farm, right? But he also grew lots of other kinds of vegetables, big kinds of vegetables, right? Like celery and carrots and lots of other things that that Joe's farm didn't have. All right, so like I said, I was going to get a raise. Right, this time I wasn't just going to get dinner, right? Because I got no pay at my mama's house. I just got a little respect, and I got the next job at Joe's, you can say, right? And I didn't really think of it as a job, really, but kind of job, and I got paid. I got dinner, right? I didn't get no money, but I got dinner. Now at Bill's, I was gonna go, and I just had to give like a 15-minute presentation on corn. Just get up there, and it wasn't a lot of work for me, right? Because I just shot off at the mouth. Know what I'm saying? Like, I was so passionate about what I was saying about the corn and the corn situation and the way the town didn't appreciate it. Now remember, I was only 12 years old, but I had 12 years of experience in that corn town, and I loved that town. That was my home, and I saw it falling apart, right? And I didn't want it to fall apart. So I started talking, and so I started talking at Bill's house, and time flew back because now Bill, right? Because when I was at my mama's house, there was only a half dozen people there. When I was at Joe's house, there was a dozen people. But when I went to Bill's house, right? Now Bill, he had about 30 people working on his farm, so this was a big audience for me, right? And you'd think I would have been a little nervous. And I was for a second when I saw how big it was and how important it was. I'm like, wow, these people really want me, little old me, to go here. But they thought it really meant something that the youth was passionate about corn, right? Because the children are our future and all that stuff, and they just really were inspired that someone so young and so insightful was so passionate about corn and could see things that they forgot about, right? Because they had just gotten into routine of things, just day in, day out, and they lost their passion for corn, okay? But I was still young. I still appreciated the corn, and I hadn't become jaded yet, all right? They had become jaded, and it was just another job for them, and they couldn't see corn with the eyes that I had, with the youthful, innocent eyes that I had, and so I could express myself to these people and get them to see corn in a new light, get them to see corn for the first time, right? So they could appreciate it like it was the first time they saw corn. And I got up on stage, right? It wasn't really a stage. I mean, it was kind of like this. Bill just put together a bunch of like milk crates and some things so I could stand up and get above the people, because he didn't have a porch out there because this wasn't his house. Like, Joe and me, we had our house, so we just were on the porch, right? But Bill, he had an entire farm, so he had to make this little special place for me, and it was at the place where they met in the morning, right? So, and I had to speak at morning, so I was going to get breakfast. I said I was going to get dinner, but I was going to get breakfast, and then I was going to get milk for an entire week from my mama and my family and me. So that was nice. I was really happy about that. So I get up on this milk crate and 2x4s, that he laid out, so I could get up there and talk, kind of like on my soapbox or whatever. And so I get up there and I start talking, and all these emotions came out of me, and I got even more emotional. I didn't think I could be so emotional, because when I saw all these people, I started the dynamics of my voice started getting low, and then high, and then I started getting raspy in my voice. See, my little 12-year-old voice, right? And my voice started changing pretty early, so I had kind of an adult voice, even when I was only 12. But then it started getting raspy, kind of like a preacher. And then it started getting kind of silent and soft. And I realized I could do all these characters with my voice. I realized I had so much inside me. I started using my body, and I started talking and going up to people, right? I go up to people in the audience, and I'd put my hand on their shoulder, and I said, "Brother, do you understand?" And I just keep going like this, and then I go to another guy and put my arm on his shoulder and try to identify with him, and I would be his brother, and I really would feel it in my body. I was his brother, and I really cared about it. And I saw the look in his eye, just the eyes of these people in this audience just meant so much to me. And I had like a calling. It was so weird. It's like I didn't really expect nothing, because, like I said, I was just kind of a troublemaker for most of my childhood. And now when I was becoming a young man, 12, 13 years old, all of a sudden I had some kind of meaning in my life, Because before, my meaning was just like, I was getting in trouble and kind of having fun, and I don't regret the fun that I had as a kid. And yeah, it wasn't really nice to like be blowing up bullfrogs and stuff and squirrels, and I kind of feel bad about that sometimes, still. But I felt bad about it then, but I didn't feel bad about it then. This is when I started to make the transition, and started becoming more thoughtful about people, about corn, about everything. And I just felt so good. And Bill couldn't thank me enough for what I said. And, I thought I was only going to speak, because Bill said I only need to speak for 15 minutes in the morning, and then his workers had to get to work. But I spoke for like 4 to 5 minutes. I don't know where the words came from. They just kept flowing out of me, like they were coming from a muse that I didn't have control over. This muse that, like, my destiny, I had a destiny on this planet to get up on stage and inspire people. And just then it was about corn. I didn't really understand the future that I had ahead of me. I didn't understand how significant I could have become. So I made the speech, and the workers got really inspired, and they were cheering, really cheering. And I said they were so happy, and they went off running into the cornfields. And Bill gave me breakfast, and gave him all this milk to bring home to my mama. And he drove me home, actually, and dropped off on the mama. He said, "Can you come back next week and talk again?" I said, "Sure." And he was going to give me milk again from my mama, and my mom was so proud. I came in with that milk. I'll never forget that look in her eyes. First time, I think, in my life since I was a baby that she was proud of me. I'll tell you the rest of the story next time. Thanks for hanging out with me. Fun McGee. Bye-bye.